So I'm back, and yet again with another predictions video. Yes, I am going to be talking about the Bundesliga predictions, hence why I have the Germany kit on. I'm not wearing Dortmund or Bayern Munich because I thought, I'm a Freiburg fan, so I have to kind of go. I really do wish I had a Freiburg kit, but also, yes, I have a haircut. There may be another video coming out soon that still has my long hair, but don't worry about it. I recorded it a while ago. But anyways, Bundesliga predictions. There's only 18 teams to go through, so it won't be as long, but it depends on how long I go on about each team. But let's go ahead and get started with my predictions. Bundesliga will start very soon. La Liga and Premier League has already started, but the Bundesliga will start this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, into number 18th. So at the very bottom, 18th place in the Bundesliga for next season, at least in my personal opinion, 2025-26 Bundesliga season. I genuinely think it's going to be Heidenheim. With all due respect to Heidenheim, they finished in 16th last season. They just escaped relegation. They were the relegation playoff / promotion playoff, and they ended up winning, hence why they're still in Bundesliga. But I think this might be their time to go back down into the second division. I think they're a decent side, just not decent enough to stay in this Bundesliga side, or in this Bundesliga season, or this league, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, sorry Heidenheim, but 18th for you. Moving up into 17th place, it is another team that they just got promoted, if I'm not mistaken, into the first division. I don't know when the heck they actually got demoted, but they got promoted, and I'm sending them straight back down. Unfortunately, I'm sending them back down into the second division, but it is Cologne. The Billy Goats or something like that. They unfortunately I don't see them doing as well, just because, despite them being a pretty historic team, I mean, they were absolutely excellent just a few seasons ago, so much so I think they were, riding Champions League spots at some point, but unfortunately, they have only gone down and down and down. So far down that they actually were in the second division. They came back up, thankfully, but I think they might become a little bit of a yo-yo club, going back and forth between the first and second division. Could be completely wrong in saying that. They may have a wonderful season, but I don't know. I see them 17th, although putting up a pretty strong fight for that 16th place, or pushing for that 16th place, but ultimately just losing out and getting relegated again. In 16th, the last place that could potentially get relegated, but there's no guarantee because they can stay up just like how Heidenheim did. In 16th, I have St. Pauli. I know St. Pauli, they are a relatively newer side to the Bundesliga. I mean, I think they came 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. They finished in 14th last season. Pretty solid start, really solid, place to finish in, and this is just a little bit of a complete aside, but Victor Gyökeres actually played for this side at some point in his career. Anyways, moving on. St. Pauli in 16th, they will be playing the promotion, I think, playing the relegation playoff, I guess, up against one of the newly promoted sides, or potentially promoted sides, by this time next year, or before next season. So at least that's my personal opinion. I think they were decent last season, but I think they've gotten a little bit worse. A few players have left, and overall, just St. Pauli don't fill me with that much confidence. Arguably, they could be even 18th, but I don't know. I have a little bit more faith just because they did finish in 14th last season. Now, we have a big shocker here in 15th place. This is the first officially staying in the Bundesliga side. I'm going with Mainz. I know this is quite a shocker if you were actually paying attention to Bundesliga last season. They finished in 6th place. Yeah, you didn't mishear me. 6th place. I'm dropping them 9 places. I know it's a huge, huge drop, but they're going to have European competition. They lost their goal scorer, Jonathan Burkhardt. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but he's gone to Frankfurt. Huge, great pickup for Frankfurt, by the way. I'll talk about them later on in this video, but overall, Mainz have lost a few of their key players, including a striker who scored, I believe, over 20 goals, if not close to 20 goals last season. So that's a huge pickup. So losing out on a player like that will be detrimental to your season, plus the added pressure of European football. I can only see not horrible things, but just a quite major drop-off in quality for a Mainz side that, at least in my opinion, have not fully gained any more squad depth than they should. They really should get more squad depth, but I don't think they have enough to compete in the Bundesliga and I believe the Europa League. So it's going to be quite tough for them. So from 6th, dragging them down to 15th. I don't think they'll be in a relegation fight. I think they'll be perfectly fine. Honestly, I think they'll just struggle a little bit more than expected, and hence why I'm having them in 15th. Sorry, Lions. Just one more step above in 14th place. I do have another bit of a shocker because they did finish relatively much higher than that last season. I'm talking about Werder Bremen. I respect Werder Bremen a lot. There was a lot of great players at one point. Eggestein, and I think even Kevin De Bruyne might have even played for Werder Bremen. I could be wrong. I know he plays for Wolfsburg, but did he ever play Werder Bremen? Could be wrong in saying that. But anyways, regardless, Werder Bremen, I'm putting them in 14th. I know it's a little bit of a shocker. They finished in 8th last season. I think they outperformed what they were expected to do. I think they were about mid-table. I think they are a mid-table side. With that, I am putting them in a lower mid-table side or lower mid-table spot, but I just don't see them having the quality to push for those European spots again. I mean, the Bundesliga are filled with a bunch of wonder kids and players that show up out of nowhere, people or players and teams that are underappreciated sometimes, or the underdogs, and they just show out. I mean, Stuttgart a few seasons ago, Mainz this season, and just so many teams and players that you wouldn't fully expect before the season even starts that they would do well, and then they just tear it up, and then they become world beaters and arguably sometimes one season wonders. But overall, just they still deliver a fantastic season for this team, for the league, and for viewers alike. But I think Werder Bremen kind of caps out at that 8th, so I don't know, and I can see them struggling this season. I don't know why, it's just a little inkling in my gut, and so I'm going to give them 14th, as much as I respect Werder Bremen, and Mainz as well, but yeah, sorry. In 13th, obviously a little bit further away from the relegation fight. I think they will be in a little bit of a relegation fight. I know, kind of confusing if I said the 15th or 14th will really be in a fight, but this place will. That's because of who this team is. And if you haven't noticed already, I'm missing one team that has gotten promoted from the 2nd division. That's Hamburg. Yeah. I'm going with Hamburg mostly because I just think they're a historic club that should be in the Bundesliga. They have been in previous seasons, but they've just been stuck in the 2nd division quite a few seasons now, unfortunately. And there's a few, I know, Bundesliga YouTubers that are pretty, huge fans of them. I may be a little bit biased because of that, but overall, I think Hamburg are a really good side, and I think they can definitely do a decent job this season. I think they'll be a little bit of a surprise package, getting up there in the table, finishing relatively high in the 13th place, at least in my personal opinion, that's high. It may not be mid-table, it's approaching that mid-table, but it's high enough to the point where it's they can actually compete, possibly following this season. I think they'll comfortably stay in the league. I think they will have a little bit of a fight with the bottom. I think they'll start off struggling, but they'll turn it off in the second. They'll turn it up in the second half of the season, and ultimately stay and finish in 13th. I can see them finishing a little bit higher, but I can definitely see them possibly even getting relegated. But I'm going to predict them to finish in 13th. In 12th place, I'm going to be going with Stuttgart. I know Stuttgart, they're a fantastic side, but I just have to go with them dropping a little bit. They finished in 9th place last season, so it's only a 3-position drop, but they also did win the DFB Pokal. Speaking of, they actually just lost the German Super Cup, or should I say the Franz Beckenbauer Super Cup, up against Bayern Munich 2-1. I'm just saying, Stuttgart put a pretty decent fight against Bayern Munich, of course, the Bundesliga winners of last season, but I'm just saying, Stuttgart, be careful. They may push for another European place, possibly. Obviously, I'm predicting them to not do that, but they could also push for another cup win. Watch out. They can do a pretty decent job in the cups, as we can see. They did win the cup last season, which means they are in the Europa League, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it'll take a little bit of a toll on them, especially if they lose one of their key players, Voldemade. There's a lot of rumors that he's going to be going to Bayern Munich. It's basically confirmed now, which kind of sucks for the player because I think he might need another team where he can develop a little bit better. I'm not saying Bayern Munich can't develop him. I'm just saying that he might need more playing time. And at Bayern Munich, he probably won't get that. Although they'll play a lot of games, they'll just be a little bit of a struggle. But I'm excited to see Stuttgart and what they do with Noah Darvic. Fortunately, he didn't really do much at Barcelona. I was really excited about that signing, but we didn't get to see him in the first team. I want to see what he can do at Stuttgart now. Moving on into 11th place, I have Hoffenheim. And I know they had a pretty terrible season last one out, but I don't know. I have faith in Hoffenheim. What can I say? I'm a little bit biased in that regard, maybe, but I'm gonna say Hoffenheim are gonna have a pretty good season. And I'm just saying, Hoffenheim are a good side. I don't know why they struggled so much last season. I didn't focus too much on the Bundesliga. I will be focusing a little bit more, hopefully, and I will be seeing exactly what's going on. Don't know. I'm not the encyclopedic knowledge of the Bundesliga, unfortunately, but I do know a decent amount. I'm not sure if Kramaric is still there, but if he is, he's always been a bagsman in the Bundesliga. Even if he's not, I mean, Hlojek, if I'm not mistaken, was there, the Czech striker / attacking midfielder, and I think he might have a pretty good season if he's still there at Hoffenheim. And even if he's not, Hoffenheim, solid side, deserve to be around that mid-table, if not pushing for European spots, as they have been in the past. So, Hoffenheim in 11th place. Moving on into 10th now, I am going to go with Union Berlin. Now, Union Berlin, they were a little bit of a shocker when they first came up. I mean, they were pushing for European spots. They were doing absolutely incredible. They even had, I think, Toni Kroos's brother at the time. But regardless, they have amazing quality. And despite finishing, I believe, in 13th last season, they could go up. Just like a Hoffenheim, I think they will go up a little bit. They're just above Hoffenheim, and I think they will finish in a solid 10th place. I can see them a little bit higher and a little bit lower, but I think 10th is like right around the place that they should be, and they could be. And I'm just going to say it, will be there. So Union Berlin, 10th place. Am I wrong? Who knows? Am I right? Who knows? But hopefully I'm right. Anyways, in 9th place, I'm going with Augsburg. Now, Augsburg are also a pretty solid side. I've always thought Hoffenheim was better, but last season, Augsburg were worse than Hoffenheim. They finished in 12th, actually, so just one place above Union Berlin, and I placed them one place above Union Berlin. Interesting. Anyways, Augsburg, I'm putting them in 9th. I think it's a solid season for them. I think they will be back to what they were, which is a mid-table team. I know I keep saying this about the rest of these teams, but it's Augsburg. You know, Augsburg are a very solid side who always have enough quality to kind of push those bigger teams and push those mid-table teams and just absolutely, just solidly survive relegation. No worry about that. But struggle when it comes to like the bigger teams like a Bayern Munich, maybe even a Dortmund, or maybe could, you know, be a little bit of a banana peel from time to time. But you never know what we get with an Augsburg. And I think they'll have a better season than they did last season, just because they, you know, are a staple in this Bundesliga. So I'm going to go with a solid 9th place finish for Augsburg. In 8th place, funnily enough, I have Wolfsburg. They actually finished one place higher than Augsburg last season, so I have 3 teams finishing one place above one another, just like they did last season, just in a few spots higher. Anyways, Wolfsburg, again, solid team. They were an excellent team back in their day. They had the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. They had so many other players, like even Adante back in the day. But Wolfsburg overall are a solid side. They had a little bit of an off-season last one. I think they finished in 11th, if I'm not mistaken. So they could be in for a more of a redemption season now. They could even push for reappearing spots, possibly even Champions League. You never know. Some of these teams might fall off, and some of these teams might just step up despite not having, quote-unquote, the quality that we are all expecting. Like I said, Bundesliga always has big shocks. There might be one team that no one expects to be in the top 4 or pushing for the top 4 or even pushing for the title at times, like a Stuttgart or like a Mainz, like I said before. But Wolfsburg, I could definitely see possibly being that team pushing for the title, pushing for Champions League. But ultimately, I'll have them finishing in 8th. That's just more of a solid, you know, more secure pick for me. But I could definitely see them doing a lot better and just surprising the whole world or surprising everybody. But yeah, 8th for them. In 7th, finally, this is the last one where that actually finished one place above the previous one. Yes, last season they finished in 10th, funnily enough, but I'm pushing them up all the way up into 7th. Yes, I pushed these past 4 teams, so all these 4 teams, just 3 positions up, and in the exact same order. Anyways, moving on. The team that I'm trying to say is Borussia Mönchengladbach. Again, a very, very good team that were in Champions League at some point. They have a solid players. They had the likes even of Eden Hazard's younger brother, Thorgan Hazard. Actually, I don't think he's there anymore. But they still have a plethora of players that can definitely prove themselves to be a solid side. And of course, they did lose Jan Sommer a few seasons ago. They no longer have him. But I still think they have tons of quality on the pitch, all over the pitch, and being able to I think they should be able to push for a top 6, if not top 5, if not even top 4 finish, and could, prove to be the team that they are, which is a solid European side from the Bundesliga who can challenge for titles. Maybe not Bundesliga titles at this moment, but, like a cup title or something, or maybe Europa League or Conference League now that it exists. But I don't know. Mönchengladbach, they are a bit of a mixed bag from time to time, so that's why I did temper my expectations for them and kept them in 7th. But in 6th, this is mostly bias. I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. This is bias. I have Freiburg. I'm going to go Freiburg in 6th. And some may say, why is it bias if you're not even putting him like at the top 3 or something like that? Well, that's because I'm also realistic. It's Freiburg. Freiburg isn't the best team in Bundesliga, unfortunately. Not yet, but I still respect them and I still love them. They're my favorite Bundesliga team. I will be supporting them through and through, and I hope they keep pushing on and maybe win a Bundesliga title at some point. I will say right here on this channel right now, they will win a Bundesliga title within 10 years. Say right now, within 10 years, by 2035, they will have won at least one Bundesliga title. Anyways, I am saying Freiburg will finish in 6th place. They did lose one of their best players, if not the best player, Rito Doan, to Frankfurt, unfortunately. Gosh dang you, Frankfurt. You've already taken away Burkhardt from Mainz, and now you've taken away Rito Doan from my favorite team. How dare you? Anyways, I have been looking at Freiburg's previous seasons, and let's just say they've been in relegation fights, but they've grown to be a bigger team than that. They still have Atobolu. They still have many other players like Merlin Roll. He is one of my personal favorites from this Freiburg side. But in recent seasons, this is what they do. They get 6th or 5th place European spot, and then the following season when they have that European competition to face, they go down to 10th or 11th. Most often than not, it's 10th. So realistically, now that they have European place and European competition this season, they should finish in 10th. Yet I'm putting them in 6th. I just have a little bit of faith, and I'm also kind of biased, and I want them to finish in 6th, to finish in that top 6 and continue their Europa League qualification every season. I'd love for that. They finished in 5th last season, so I want them to continue pushing forward and move forward and stop selling their big players. But hopefully that's what happens. If they finish higher, amazing. If they don't, it's unfortunate. They were close to finishing 4th last season, I'm just saying. But them being in the Champions League might have been a little bit worse for them. Now they actually have a potential to win the Europa League next season, or this season. Anyways, let's go Freiburg. Just below the top 4, we are going to be putting in some pretty big shocks now. So in 5th place, I'm going to go for a pretty down year for this team that has been flying high, but that's mostly because they've also just lost their manager. And if you've already guessed it, I'm talking about Bayer Leverkusen. I can even see them falling a little bit lower, which would push up Freiburg a little bit. But I'm going to say 5. I'm going to be a little conservative right here and say that they won't go lower than 5th, but could easily go down as 8th, if not even lower. All respect to Erik ten Hag, and all respect to all the rest of the players, but they have been pretty gutted. I mean, they lost their best player, Florian Wirtz. They lost one of their best outlets or creators in Jeremy Frimpong. And they did also lose their captain, Jonathan Tah, not to mention their manager, Xabi Alonso. And then also, they just haven't really recruited too well. I mean, Joao Kwanzaa is an amazing pickup. They have so many other players that have also just demonstrated that they have quality, like the likes of Alejandro Grimaldo, who I believe scored a penalty just recently, and the DFB Pokal. And it's Erik ten Hag. He's not a terrible manager. He did really well with Ajax. But at Manchester United, kind of did struggle. And if I'm not mistaken, in one of their friendly games, they lost 5-0 to Flamengo. Possibly even a U20 Flamengo. It's not a great look. 5-0 with their starters? Not the greatest of looks. But I will say I do have faith in them to, push for European competitions and push for Champions League qualification. but I think they'll fall just short, mostly because of the transfer window that this next team had. In fourth, I talked about their transfer window, and I've been speaking about them across this entire video. It's Frankfurt. I will say they will not comfortably, but will solidly make fourth place and make Champions League yet again, mostly because I have faith in their recruitment that they did this season. I mean, they brought in Rito Doan. I think that's a fantastic pickup. They did lose out on Omar Marmoush in the middle of the season last season, and of course they did lose Ugo Ekitike, but they brought in Burkhardt. That was a transfer done like ages ago, if I'm not mistaken. They did that deal early, and honestly, I think that's a really good pickup. I mean, he had a fantastic season with Mainz season prior. Now in a bigger team, arguably a bigger team, he can definitely demonstrate what he can do and even score more goals, compete with Harry Kane for the top goal scoring place or the Golden Boot in Bundesliga. So it will be tough, and I will definitely be tuning in to see what Frankfurt can do, especially after losing Rito Doan like that. Unfortunate, but it's okay. It's okay. I'll get over it. Maybe. Anyways, moving on to number 3. In third place, it's a pretty decent big jump. I know you guys may have realized that I haven't spoken on a team that I'm pretty a big fan of, which is RB Leipzig. I'm a pretty big fan of RB Leipzig, but I'm putting them in third place this time. I think they will compete for the title, and I mean that seriously. I think they will be pushing Bayern Munich and Dortmund, they are the remaining teams, to win the Bundesliga title. Ultimately, they'll fall short, hence why I placed them in third, but they still have amazing players like Openda. They did lose Benjamin Šeško, and they could potentially lose Xavi Simons, but even without him, I think they still have a very good side. I know we just did a rebuild on them, but still, their side is pretty solid. Van der Voort as their goalkeeper, if not someone else. Wulashi, I think, is still there, and they may still have older players, but they did lose Yusuf Poulsen, unfortunately, but I still think it'll be enough for them. I think their team, they struggled last season, but I think they will go back to the Champions League contenders or even title contenders that they were seasons prior. Not last season as much, they finished in 7th, but third place seems like the right place for them, and I think they're finally rebuilding and going back to how they were. And without European competition, I think they have a very solid chance of doing so. So there's 2 teams left fighting for first and second place, and it is of course arguably the 2 best teams, the 2 biggest teams in Germany, that is Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. And of course, for the Bundesliga title, I'm going to say Bayern Munich. It just has to be Bayern Munich. Let's talk about Bayern Munich first real quick. I am putting them as the champions of this Bundesliga season. 2025-26 champions will be Bayern Munich. I know I could go crazy, or maybe not crazy. I can go out of the blue. I can go a little bit, not normal, not conventional, or however you may say it. I could go a little bit random, and I could even say RB Leipzig, or maybe even a Frankfurt. If I'm really biased, I could say Freiburg, but I'm gonna say Bayern Munich. They just have such a solid squad, and Vincent Kompany in the second season, I think he'll do a lot better now. He has Harry Kane, top goal scorer from last season. They have Jamal Musiala, who did get injured, unfortunately, very tough injury to take, but they have Luis Diaz now, wearing the number 14. You have the likes of Jonathan Tah, taken from Bayer Leverkusen, and they have so many other great players that just can terrorize this Bundesliga, league, and just maybe even the Champions League. They are a favorite to win it. They could be in the arguably top 5 teams in all of Europe right now. And unfortunately, I don't see any other top 5 team in the Bundesliga to compete with them and to push them to win the Bundesliga title apart from Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich is the only team that really will demonstrate that they are world class. With that being said, I do think Dortmund will have a little bit of a resurgence. They struggled massively last season. I mean, they did pretty decently even up against my team, Barcelona, but Dortmund finishing in second place. They finished in 4th last season, so they are going up 2 places finally. They will comfortably make the second place, and I think they will also be in a title race alongside RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich. I think it'll be a little bit closer than everybody thinks. Ultimately, Bayern Munich will win it. I would love to see a Dortmund or another team win it apart from Leverkusen. Leverkusen already did it 2 seasons ago. Thank you, Leverkusen, for finally giving us that, stopping Bayern Munich's reign and streak. But would like to see another team win it as well. Leverkusen, still have a shout. But like I said, the losses that they've taken, it's going to be tough for them to fight as hard. Dortmund, while they have lost a few players, they also have brought in some decent players, including but not only the younger brother of Jude Bellingham, which is Job Bellingham. And I don't want to refer to him as just Jude's younger brother. No, he is Job Bellingham. I believe he's 18 or if not 19 years old, coming from Sunderland, going to Borussia Dortmund, and I think he can tear it up. He's going to be wearing the number 7. He's going to be rocking that Borussia Dortmund kit. I think he's going to tear it up and actually, put up some pretty decent stats and help propel them into a second place finish in this Bundesliga season. So those were my Bundesliga predictions for 25-26 season. I think it's going to be super tough, and it's going to be super interesting to watch. The Bundesliga is always an interesting watch. There's always at least 1 to 2, maybe even 3 underdogs that no one expects to come out of the blue and compete for the title, compete for the top 4. And I'm excited. That could be a Wolfsburg, that could be a Freiburg, that could be a Hamburg. That's a lot of Bergs. Maybe even Augsburg. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is the Bundesliga, definitely tune in for them. I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch my favorite team, Freiburg. I still need a Freiburg jersey, but I'm excited to see what this Bundesliga season has in store for us. A little bit obvious with my picks here and there, but I feel like I did throw in a few shockers. But hopefully you guys agree, and even if you don't agree with me, put what's your Bundesliga predictions? Put it down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video regardless. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.